Well, Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh has been honored with the state service in the Palestinian city of Ramallah today, a day after she was shot dead, allegedly by Israeli forces. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says they'll approach the International Criminal Court over what Palestine and her employer Al Jazeera have described as a blatant murder. To get you more on that story, we're joined now by Palestinian Ambassador to South Africa, Hanan Jarrar. Ambassador, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time today. If I can begin first by getting your reaction to what happened in Jenin yesterday morning.
Good afternoon, and thank you for hosting me for this devastating event, actually. Shireen Abu Akleh was not only a Palestinian journalist, she was a friend of the Palestinian people, of the Arab people, and of the international community for more than 2 decades. She was visiting us in our homes, on the screens of TV, on daily basis, to expose the Israeli narrative and to expose the Israeli violations of the human rights. Jenin also is my hometown, and it's a place that I'm familiar with. So yesterday was a devastating day by all means, not only for me as Palestinians or a Palestinian or for the Palestinian people, but for humanity in general.
There was some suggestion yesterday in reaction to the news from the likes of the Israeli PM Naftali Bennett that at this point the person or people responsible for her death remain unknown. Some suggestion that she may have been killed by armed Palestinians. I know that's already been rejected by Al Jazeera, but as far as the investigation in Israel goes, how much confidence do you have that that will unearth the truth about what happened yesterday?
By logic, do you think that a criminal has the right to investigate his own crimes? How objective is this? We are used. The international community, unfortunately, is turning a blind eye on the Israeli propaganda that everyone is used to. They are lying and they are falsifying the truth. They have been targeting journalists for quite a long time. Actually, Shireen Abu Akleh is not the first Palestinian journalist that has been assassinated. Before her, there has been a systematic approach to silence the truth that was exposed through different media outlets. 8 Palestinian journalists were assassinated in the past years by the Israeli government, who always leading a systematic approach of assassination against Palestinian and international journalists to expose the truth. We cannot trust in the Israeli propaganda, of course, and it's their approach to unfortunately targeting the world. We hold the Israeli government and the Israeli occupation army and the Israeli as an apartheid state the responsibility of this execution of one of the prominent Palestinian journalists.
Shireen Abu Akleh, of course, was not only Palestinian, she was Palestinian American. At a briefing that was given last night by the Americans, they expressed confidence that the Israelis would be able to conduct a satisfactory investigation into what happened. How do you then respond to the United States' response to the way forward as far as probing what happened yesterday?
Shireen Abu Akleh is a female Palestinian Christian. She holds a Palestinian nationality. She is a citizen of East Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Palestine, and she's American. What else is needed for Palestinians to be treated as human beings and to be treated as individuals and not to be executed by the Israeli occupation army? Of course, we do believe that we are the only party that needs to do the investigation, and we will not allow, as President Abbas said and our government said, we will not allow any other party to investigate. How come that we allow Israelis to investigate their own crimes? It's nonsense. And all the eyewitnesses in the field of Jenin refugee camp, they said that journalists were standing very obvious in a different place from the Palestinian citizens, and also the way that she was executed. She has been targeted by a sniper, by a bullet in the head. Actually, this cannot be done because she was wearing like the jacket, the proof bullet with a mark of press and the helmet. So it was obvious. It was an assassination in every sense of the word.
So what is likely to happen at this stage is that you, as the Palestinians, will conduct your own investigation. Israel will conduct then its own investigation, and we may very well end up with two very different findings as to culpability for Shireen Abu Akleh's killing. How then would that move forward the quest for accountability and justice for this murdered journalist?
As President Abbas says, we are taking this case into the International Criminal Court, and we will file a case on this. We will do our own investigation. The Israelis, they will do their own investigations, but as I mentioned, how can we allow a criminal to investigate his own crime? If you are part of the issue, how can you be objective in investigating? And they are an occupation army that has been committing violations against international humanitarian law and against the right to people to in life. You can imagine the atrocities that the Israeli apartheid regime is committing against Palestinian people, journalists, professionals, every single day. Yesterday, it was not only Shireen that was assassinated, also a young boy who is 19 years old was also assassinated. The assassination of Palestinian people is taking place, unfortunately, in every single day. And unfortunately, the international community is turning a blind eye into the atrocities of the Palestinian people. This May, after 2 days, on the 15th of May, the Palestinians commemorate 74 years of the Israeli occupation. What the international community is waiting for to bring a just end to the Palestinian cause.
How much do you worry then that the killing of Shireen Abu Akleh could lead to a further escalation between Palestinians and Israelis, especially when you consider that it comes on the back of a number of stabbing attacks perpetrated by Palestinians in parts of Israel or against Israelis in recent weeks?
Of course, it will affect in escalating the situation, which is already escalated since the beginning of Ramadan. Israeli settlers are attacking Palestinians on a daily basis. Israeli settlers and Israeli occupation forces are targeting Palestinians young on a daily basis. Since the beginning of April till now, more than 50 Palestinians has been executed. And of course, Palestinians are human beings, and they are losing hope. Our people are losing hope. They are frustrated. That's why we have to resist. I mean, if resistance is something that is acceptable now, taking into consideration the international dynamics, especially in Ukraine, if the people of Ukraine and if the international community is supporting resistance, then this also applies to the Palestinian people. What we are demanding from the international community is to take into consideration also the sanctions against an apartheid regime, sanctions, boycott against Israel, since also it has been accepted internationally to put a full range of sanctions against Russia for violating human rights. So we are demanding the international community to stop treating the Palestinian and Israeli issue in a different way, rather than what they are treating other issues around the world. The Palestinian people are they are very powerful. As I mentioned, this month we are commemorating 74 years of Israeli occupation. It is the day that Israeli occupation or Israeli gangsters at that time invade Palestine and uprooted more than 750,000 Palestinians from their homeland, scattered them in refuge all over the world. And now these 700,000 Palestinians are becoming 7 million Palestinians, still scattered in refuge all over the world without the right to return to their homeland. We need a political solution. We need to end the Israeli occupation. We need to bring the Israeli apartheid down, exactly as what happened in South Africa.